Hey everyone, this is Paul. I wanted to give you a demo of where we are with Shortcircuit. It's October 28th. We're getting more people on Discord showing up and asking if they can use it, so I figure it's best to give a kind of quick overview of where we are. The synth isn't complete, we're still calling it Alpha. But it does quite a lot, so a little drive-by I thought would be good. When you start the synth, you'll see something like this. You'll have fewer favorites over here in the devices section, probably. And essentially, the main driver is this tab up here, which can take you between play mode, which is a presentation of macros. We'll mostly skip that today. Edit mode, where you'll do a lot of the creation of the instrument. A mix, where you can go ahead and add buses, effects, sends, and things like that beyond what you can do on an individual zone level. We'll focus on the edit and mix screens today. The edit screen has a few areas. Over here, this sidebar is where you control your parts, groups, and zones. Shortcircuit has an architecture where there are up to 16 parts or instruments in any given session. They can have unlimited groups, and each group can have unlimited zones, and it is a 3-level tree like that. Zones are polyphonic, groups sum their zones monophonically, and then parts sum their groups monophonically. Each zone, group, and part routes upwards to its natural parent by default, but you can adjust that. Then here we get the sort of mapping area where we can go ahead and set up our instrument, modify a sample, or set up macros. This section here in the middle is a group of processors that can apply polyphonically for zones or monophonically for groups. The section down here is modulation, sources, and routing. And then over here is the file browser where you can go ahead and do things. So let's do something simple. I've chosen a directory here where I just have rendered out versions of actually my Mac speaking all the numbers in English. So I'll grab this, pull it in, and you'll see now here I am creating a thing.
7, 7, 7.
And now
7,
7,
7, 7, 7, 7.
Exactly as you'd expect, the number 7 appears. I can double click on this and see the sample. So if I wanted to, I could set start and end point like so. Which is, of course, not that exciting, but the basic workflow of drag in a sample works. Okay, what I'm going to do throughout this session is this up here is going to be for sample I/O, and it's mostly not working. You can actually save multis and save parts now, but the thing I'm going to use a lot is just to reset the engine to blank like this. Okay, and so now I can go up, go to my wave, and then go ahead and grab, here's a drum loop, for instance, right? Okay, and now I can go ahead and super. And so drag a sample in works as you'd expect. Let's talk briefly now about how you can adjust this mapping section. Obviously, you can drag things around, you can move the mappings like this. All those sorts of things work exactly as you'd expect. And of course, you can drag in a second one. Here is a, let's see, let's grab this piano sample and drop this over it. And now when I play this note, I'll get both of them. And you can see over here, I can select different ones, or I can also multi-select them with Shift, as you'd expect. And I can create different groups. We'll get to groups in a little bit. For now, I'm going to delete this piano sample and just go back to this drum sample. And what you can do is then you can start applying processors to it. So in here are a list of processors. I'm going to, for instance, instead of simple filter, we have this fast SVF, nice low pass. And you can hear, there we go. I can take the amplitude up if I want. I can pan it. Exactly as you'd expect. Double click to reset. So this is kind of, the architecture. And as you can see, there's a large number of effects in here. We'll come back to that in a little bit. The next thing I want to talk about is modulation. So you can see down here we have 2 envelopes and a collection of LFOs. The LFOs have a variety of modes. There's step and waveform LFOs. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take LFO1, I'm going to set it to a sine wave, okay? And I'm going to go here to the mod matrix and map LFO1 to the processor 1 SVF cutoff with a pretty high depth. Okay, I'm going to turn the cutoff up a little bit. I'm going to increase this rate. And now you can see what we can do is not only can we put effects in place, but we can also modulate them. Great. And, you know, of course, things we can go over here and we can put on loops and stuff like that. So this loops forever. We have to turn the mix down on this. So now it's a lot less. And also many of our effects support key tracking, so the filter here will key track its root that way. Which is useful for harmonic sounds, tonal sounds, not necessarily this one. Cool. So now you sort of see some of this modulation. I'm going to reset again. I want to talk some about the synthesis capabilities as well, because you know, it's a sample-initiated synth. Let's grab this piano sample again and just sit it here. And I'm going to move the root note down. So now, what I can do is I can go and add a variety of things. We have a collection of generators here. Let me put in an oscillator. Okay, this piano actually has a root note of 56. Okay, cool. So what I've done now is I've mixed this sawtooth here. And I'm probably still off on this root key. I should probably set that to, I think this is 56. But now you can see that we can start combining sounds, especially if we get the root note correct, which I should have done before I started shooting this video. Sorry about that, but I'm not going to do it over. And attach it to an oscillator. So now, cool, awesome. We can turn the mix on this oscillator all the way up as well, or even create a blank zone. Let me delete this zone. I'm going to Alt drag. Makes a blue zone. This is now. Okay, let's try this one more time. So now, okay, I have an empty zone with nothing in it, but what I can do in that empty zone is I can create an oscillator. Cool. Let's set that to a sawtooth. Turn the mix all the way up. So this is just now a simple sawtooth. No samples playing at all. And I can go ahead and, you know, add a filter. And then, of course, you know what I'm going to do, right? I now have a low pass. And I'm going to take this second envelope generator, fast attack, decay, bring the sustain all the way down. Go from that generator to the SVF cutoff. And then you get, you know, cool. Let's take that decay down a bit more, bring the depth up a bit more. And then, you know, you can imagine all the other things that you can do. Small warbles, drifts, all those kind of things. That comes into place. So, you know, it is a pretty fully functioning synthesizer even without samples. So let me reset again. Great. Now, let me see, what else do I want to do here? We can talk about groups for a second. So groups are essentially monophonic sums. So, you know, if I go back here to, let's go to, we'll go back to my tests folder. There's got to be something in here. You know, we'll grab this clap, and then we'll grab this piano, put it about here. So now, they're both in the same group. So what I can do is I can go over here to this group if I want, go into groups mode, select the group, and now I can put a process on the group. And because groups are monophonic, they have different memory footprints, we can do something like a reverb over here, right? And that's not running a reverb per voice, that's running a reverb overall. And again, groups have their own sets of modulators and so on and so forth. Okay, great. So let's go back to the zones view for now. And do a reset. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show some of the other things. For instance, we can do pretty good SFZ and SF2 import. Not perfect, but it works. So let me go grab an SFZ here. or maybe an SF2. Let's see what's in here. Is this one? Yeah, here's a kazoo. Here's an SF2 kazoo. I'll pull this in, and now... Okay, cool. I've just loaded that sound font, and so, you know, I could do that. Let's see what happens when I go over to the mixer screen here. You can see that. And so I can go ahead and I can add a variety of effects here. So for instance, what I could do is I could do a send to aux1. And then over here in aux1, I could just go ahead and add a delay, select this bus, put the mix all the way up. Okay, go ahead and add feedback, bring this one down a little, right? You get the idea. That's a really wonderful sound, but we'll stick with it. And you know, we're slowly porting all the surge effects in here. So already some of the ones you see, like Reverb 1 and 2, and Nimbus, which is mutable clouds, are all there already. So that's pretty good. Reset the entry to a blank. And then going to go back to that edit view. Look, finally, let me just, I don't know, we're just going to screw around with it a little. Let me, we were talking about bird songs this morning on Discord, and I downloaded this data set. So let me load a couple of these in. Let me see, let's start with this one. So, cool, and then grab this one. Great. And so now you sort of, let me make these overlap a bit more, put them around here. Okay, I'm going to pan one way and one the other way. That's cool. And now let me show you one other thing that's fun, which is the multi-select work. So if I actually select two of these, and then go ahead and I add, for instance, our string resonator, which is kind of like the surge string model. Turn it down a little. Now, you'll see that both of these zones got that same string resonator. Great. But now if I go just in the multi-select world over here and put, you know, I'm going to put a compressor on here. I'll turn that off later. Now, when I select multiple ones, you'll see multiple types are selected. Sorry about that, tooltip, they didn't go away. And I can copy the compressor to all of them. And now all of them get the compressor, or I can just turn it off to none. But now if we go back to the sound, you can see that key track string resonator is adding slightly detuned. And I can add a little warble to the second one, right? Go down here, grab a noise LFO, apply that noise LFO to the string resonator's second offset. Reset this to 0, put the depth up a little, you know. And then, you know, I'll go over here to the mix and, you know, let's just use the floaty delay. We don't have a screen for floaty delay yet, so it's going to look a little garbagey, but it sounds great. This is a new feature we have in Surge. It's a delay with movable playhead. So now if I go like this, so that's kind of the state of play with Shortcircuit today. There's a lot more that we can do with it that we haven't shown here, but it gives you an idea kind of where we are and where we're headed. Hope you enjoy it.